What's up, Rebels? Welcome to another Location Rebel case study. And this is always one of my favorite things I do because it's a chance to talk to some of our real members, hear the real world stories, and hear about some of the successes that they've had online through the Location Rebel course and things like that. So before we go any further, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out and chat with us today.
Well, thank you very much, Sean. I look forward to get this thing going here. Let's roll.
Absolutely. So you ended up joining Location Rebel almost exactly a year ago. Um, Tell me a little bit about yourself. Why did you decide to join? Why did you decide to pursue an online business? What was your life like a year ago?
So I can give you some a little bit of background. So I'm a public school teacher by trade,
Uh huh.
and uh, I'm the kind of guy that just I'm not one just to sit around. I've always had kind of a iron in the fire in different areas. From a painting business that I've run to a gumball machines that I actually own to actually decided to go into some online classes. And I heard about Location Rebel actually on a Mike Dillard podcast.
Oh, cool.
And
Very nice.
boy, I'll tell you what, you did a wonderful job on the podcast, and I hope I don't get into too many other of the other questions you have right now. But your interview was phenomenal, and I'm like, all right, let's see if this Sean Ogle guy is for real. I went ahead and sent you an email. And shocking enough, you responded to me, I think, like in 13 minutes. And I'm like,
Wow, that's pretty
this
good even
guy,
for me. I try and be on top of it, and sometimes I'm better than others. But glad to know that I hit the mark that time.
oh, absolutely. I'm like, well, this guy is for real. And if he's for real and he's responding to emails like this, I'm joining Location Rebel. So I was glad to go ahead and become a contributing member.
Yeah, very cool. So for those of you, he mentioned the Mike Dillard podcast that I was on, Self-Made Man. He does an excellent job with his podcast. So I'll have a link to that below if you guys want to go check that out. But what kind of got you going along the ideas of wanting to do an online thing? You said you had a few different, you had a gumball business, you had a painting business. Sounds like you've got a pretty good job. So why did you decide now is the time to pursue something online?
Well, the truth is that there's 24 hours a day and there's 7 days in a week. And the bottom line is, I always was intrigued by any kind of a business that works when you don't.
Yep.
You can't always be out there, swinging for the fences. So if you have a business that runs 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, and maybe just as important, that is location independent. Like, wow, it's a nice mindset to have in thinking forward what you can really do with that.
Yeah, totally. It was interesting when I first started. This was back in like 2010. A friend of mine made an interactive checklist that was basically it said, "I've made money while," and then there was like hundreds of items, and it was like while sleeping, while playing golf, while doing this thing. I remember seeing that and being like, "Man, it would be so cool if I could say, I had my business working for me while I was doing all of these other things in life." And I still think back to that every once in a while. I get a notification, made some money or someone joined Location Rebel when I'm someplace weird or doing something, kind of different. And it's definitely a nice thing to have a business that kind of works for you, even when you're off kind of doing other things.
So so it's like the gumball machine concept. You're not there every time somebody's putting a gumball machine, a quarter in your gumball machine, but now I have a much wider audience and obviously making much more than a quarter every turn. So once again, I'm really pleased with you guys helping guide me in this direction.
Yeah, so you joined about a year ago. You dove in. What were the first few weeks and the first few months like? What type of business did you end up starting, and how did the course kind of help get you going down that path?
So I'm glad you asked. It's a great question. So I had already written a book about winning elections, and we'd got my wife elected to a local school board here,
Cool.
and a lot of people came up to me and said, you really need to write a book, which I did, and from there I turned it into a course for public educators and anybody else interested in learning how to win a local election. And from there, I've created two more courses, one called Kahoot in the Classroom and the other one called Superpowers for Educators.
Okay.
And now I've got to tell you, these these have been really important things. So once again, I'm able to use my entrepreneurial skills and of course my creativity And one of the things that helped me the most with Location Rebel, it had to be the people in the marketing, uh, not just you, who you've made it a point to communicate with me a number of times, but
Uh-huh.
Liz is a wonderful assistant as well, and just the community there was extremely supportive and shared ideas on how to get this thing done.
Well, that's really cool to hear. And I think it's one of those things. I talk a lot about the concept of solopreneur not being solo. It's like you want to, build something on your own, but really if you want to be successful, it's about finding that supportive community of people that are either going through the same thing that you're going through or have kind of been there, done that. And I think that's one of the cool things about Location Rebel is we've got people that have been there for years that now have, successful even into like six-figure businesses that kind of stick around and they help out some of the new people. And then you've got the people that join around the same time you do that you can kind of commiserate with and lean on for accountability. And it's cool to see that you kind of experience some of that as well.
Yeah. So I think it was Galileo said that his accomplishments were built on the shoulders of other people. And if you're constantly trying to start from square one, you're never going to get anywhere. So to your point, Sean, having that community, a Location Rebel, made all the difference in the world of getting things up and running and uh, asking questions from which email platform should I use to the best way to develop a client list, and it was instrumental in my success.
Yeah. So, now you've got, a little bit of business going. So you're creating continuing education courses for educators, correct?
Yes.
So what are some of the key things that you've done that have kind of made that successful? What were some of the steps you took that it took you from, I've got this idea to now we're actually making money with this thing?
Well, I think the biggest thing is creating courses that have high interest. If you're always thinking of the end user first and what they need and what you can do to help meet that customer's needs, I think that's 99% of the battle. You have something that becomes very, very marketable.
Absolutely. So what are you using? Are you doing this on your own website? Are you using a site like Udemy or something like that? Where are you actually putting the courses that people can then go join?
Okay, this is actually through a university out in California.
Okay.
So these are actually you get 3 graduate credit classes, and teachers are always looking for ways to either one increase their salary steps, number two keep their certification going, or number three just for professional development. So once again, without you folks, I never would have even considered going down this avenue.
Oh, that's cool. So, did you have any trouble when you were trying to figure out how to actually make it so that your courses counted towards certification or towards continuing education credits? Like, how did that process work?
Well, I met people from the university, and there's obviously, in my particular case, you have to have reached certain education attainment, which I have, and some minor hoop jumping. Um, but the bottom line is the most important steps in the process. Once again, is making sure your end product was something that people would want to take.
Absolutely. And I don't know, I think it's so cool that, you have a background as an educator, so you kind of say, "Hey, I've done some things, I know some things. How can I create something that, I'm not completely starting from scratch. I'm taking some knowledge and some background that I've already got and applying it in a new way," which is it sounds like it's worked out really well for you.
Well, I've had a lot of success, and I'm just keep on studying setting up things a little bit higher, so I have higher expectations, and I'm planning on putting my children through college with this apparatus that I'm setting up. So it's a lofty goal, but I'll tell you what, it's something that I think is very achievable now.
Absolutely. So, for someone who's sitting here, maybe they're watching this video, they're sitting on the fence, they're trying to say, should I join Location Rebel? Is it actually going to help me? Like, what advice might you give to someone that's kind of on the fence and trying to make that decision now?
So uh, I think one of the most important things we can do is we can invest in ourselves.
Hmm.
And if you're really serious, Location Rebel sets up a couple of things. Number one, it puts everything you need in one community. That's step number one. And step number two, there is an entry limit. It costs a couple of bucks, but you know what? When you go ahead and you pay your membership fee, you're also making a serious statement that, listen, I'm not just thinking about this, I'm making a commitment to myself, my family, to actually do something about it. And and I think that was really the key behind it. I didn't have to spend a ton of time on Location Rebel until I was up and rolling. But being around a bunch of other people that are, should we say, entrepreneurial minded
Yeah.
and out to get things done, I can't begin to tell you. I think it was what Vince Lombardi said that, winning's a habit and so is losing. And I want to hang around with a bunch of winners. So these are people that all have the same kind of goals in mind.
Oh, that's really, really cool to hear. And it's one of those things. I think actually early on, you had sent me a message about our forums asking if it was possible to private message people. And I'm really excited because you're one of the first people I'm getting to tell about this. Is as of most likely next week, we're gonna have an all new forum system, which is gonna be way more interactive. It's gonna be way easier to message people, to follow threads, to create threads. It's a much, much better system. So we're kind of upgrading the whole site. So for people that are thinking about joining for the community aspect of it, you're thinking about joining for the people, which honestly is one of the best reasons to join. It's only going to be kind of getting better from here. So anyway, I thought you would want to know that because I know you had asked about it in the past.
Absolutely, and you're reminded daily. You are the five people you hang around most, and and I'm telling you, if you're around people that are pointed in the same direction, it's going to be a winning combination. And I like I said, I can't emphasize that enough.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk about, your experience with the course and the community, telling us a little bit about your business that you've built over the last year, which I'm really excited about. If people want to go, find more about your courses or find more about you or get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Okay, so you can find my landing page is classes4educators.com, and that's classes number 4educators.com, and it has all my contact information on there. So that's a great place to go. If not, it can be simply emailed at classes4educators.com.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure we link that below. I would guess if you're sitting here, if you have questions about Location Rebel from somebody other than me, I'm sure Brian would be happy to answer any questions about it. You can shoot him an email. But also, if you're a teacher and you're looking for, continuing education credits or anything like that, check out his business. And once again, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out. And it's just always so cool to talk to people that have gotten value out of the course, and not only that, but created something meaningful around it. So thank you for that.
And thank you for all the things that you do to encourage the entrepreneurial spirit inside America. And Sean is for real. So I really recommend Location Rebel, at least poking in and taking a look.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. For those of you that are interested, you can check us out, locationrebel.com. If you're looking to build an online business that will allow you to do more of the things you want to do, spend more time with your friends and family, and kind of get out of that day job, this is one of the best ways I know of to do it. So come check us out. You can email me as well, Sean@locationrebel.com, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, pal. Take care.